Welcome to another episode and interview here on the House of Shadows and Ink, where we chat with creators and fans of all things, dark, scary, weird. And today I've got Kemal Yildirim, who is making a movie. So, Kemal, please tell everyone, just like in a paragraph, who you are, what you do, and what brings you here today.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate your time and your love for the genre. Like myself, I'm a big genre fan. So yeah, my name's Kemal Yildirim. I'm a filmmaker and actor, and I'm here to talk about a film called 45, which I had the pleasure of playing the lead character in this film, and it's a kind of very dark tale about a man who's searching for the killer of his daughter, and it takes him down a very dark path and leads him in direct contact with the Antichrist.
Nice. And I've actually seen the movie, and I only realized now you're the main actor because you look completely different.
I look different in it. Yeah, I got a big beard. I look a lot worse than what I do now.
Yes, you really look like someone who's troubled, troubled soul, which of course is what you were aiming for. Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
And remember, I have to say,
I haven't seen the film, so no spoilers.
Okay.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the film yet.
Well, what I can say is I'm a fan of B 80s horror movies, B horror movies, but there are some indie movies that I just couldn't get into, and I love this one. Seriously. This was I didn't know what to expect, but let's just go into it without any expectations, and that was awesome. I even told the staff, you got to watch this. Awesome. So good, well done.
Oh,
okay, so
the director would be very happy with that.
Okay,
yeah,
that's cool. So let's go way back. We like to talk about imagination and creativity and where this all comes from. And when I was a youngster watching movies, my love for all of this stuff also comes from movies. And even back then, I realized at the end with all the credits and the names, there's a lot of people involved here, and there's a lot of work that goes into this. I had no idea back then how long it took and what jobs they did. I mean, we didn't have YouTube and stuff for that kind of knowledge. So where did everything begin for you? Creativity and especially your passion for the genre, but also why movies?
That's such a cool question. For me, I was lucky enough that my uncle was a writer, and he used to write these little plays, and we used to actually we used to record little plays on tape recorders. So we used to record our voices doing all these accents and acting out different stories that he used to write. And this is when I was quite young. This is when I'm maybe about 9 or 10 years old. So this is going back a long, long time, because I'm quite old now. So it started very, very young. And then one day my dad brought home a video camera, and that kind of started my journey into grabbing that camera and taking that ideas for storytelling and put it into a visual medium. So, because I've always been, I was bullied quite a lot as a kid, and I was quite a quiet and introverted kid, and the world of movies, I could kind of lose myself inside of it, and that kind of feeling of fear and being bullied and all the things that come with it, you can kind of forget that when you're in the the movie world. You can kind of create your own imaginatory kind of ways of kind of just losing yourself in the story, and that kind of drew me into that that obsession with film, and that I really have. It's a bit of an obsession for me, film. It's there's nothing else I can do but film, and so it started out a very young age, and then I started really when my dad brought home that video camera, and then I just basically kidnapped my friends, family, whoever I could, stuck them in movies and said you have to do it, and we just every week we would make different short films.
I've heard so many of today's big big actors, big film directors mention the same thing, and it's my dad also brought the Oma camera, and we weren't allowed to touch the thing. That was bad.
It's the same. We used to sneak it out. We had a little
I never
plan,
thought of that.
Yeah, we used to sneak it out of his bedroom because when he used to go away, he used to lock his room so we couldn't. But we used to sneak in through the window, and we used to grab the camera and we used to put it back in again. So if he sees this, he'll know our secrets. But yeah, so myself and my uncle's a few years older than me, not many. He's about 3 or 4 years older than me. And he was the writer, director, and I was the kind of actor in the films. And Yeah, so we used to sneak the camera out, and the two of us used to go and make these films.
And today you're still like mainly the actor, or how involved are you in the filmmaking process?
Yeah, so I started out as an actor. That's really what I wanted to do in the beginning. And then I quickly had a couple of knockbacks, a big knockback. So I had some really, really good castings for pretty big things in the UK here where I'm based. And those rejections and knockbacks that I've got kind of dented my confidence, really. So what I started to do at that point was go behind the scenes and actually start to create my own content. So before content was a word, back then when I was making films in the early 90s to mid 90s, I was grabbing a camera, I was grabbing any people I could to put them in films, and I was kind of learning the craft of filmmaking without realizing, because we was also doing something called in-camera editing. So we didn't have any edit bays back then. We just had, the camera. So we learned how to edit in camera. So we were kind of learning how to tell stories while doing that. And then somebody, a really good friend of mine, said to me, look, you've got a bit of a passion for this. You've got some talent here. Why don't you go and pursue, go to college, go and pursue this? And I did, thanks to her, I did. And it kind of led me down a journey of a bit of academic background in learning how to really craft the film. So yeah, for me, it started out as acting, but then I kind of led back into the behind the scenes. So now I'm by trade, I'm a cinematographer. So I go out there and people hire me to shoot their films, and I shoot a lot of corporate and commercial stuff as well. But the passion for acting is still there. When the right project like 45 comes along, then my passion then rises again to want to act, because I was always first.
Were you the cinematographer?
No, that was no. I was purely the actor. 45 kind of came to me that I met Baz Hancher. I've known him for a little while, and I worked on his previous film called Axel Falcon, which was a crazy kind of sci-fi film with cyborgs and all this stuff. It was a crazy film, so good. You should check it out. You should check out his films. He's got some great stuff. And so Baz Hancher kind of contacted me about making a small little role in that film. And then we kind of struck quite a good chord together. And we thought, he thought that I could potentially play a good role in the next film for him. So yeah, Baz Hancher really is the cinematographer and the director. Him and his co-producer and basically everything else, Michael Walcott, they together kind of form White Raven Films. And they're such an amazing little, an outfit. They're here based in the UK in the West Midlands. And the films they make are so unique and quite controversial as well. A lot of his films that he's put out there really do test the audience, because there's a lot of controversial subject matter within his films. And when 45 landed on my lap and I read the script, I just fell in love with the story. And I thought, it's such a dark character to play. And that's kind of what I look for as an actor. If I see a script that pushes the boundaries of, really making me feel uncomfortable as a human being, that's the kind of character I want to play. Because then it pushes something within me, and it tests something within me to see if I can reach the heights to portray that character.
Oh no, that's excellent. That's something I also tell the authors. Like, you have to write stuff that you're not used to. Like, put your bit out of your comfort zone, test your limits, push it a bit.
Absolutely.
Because I just have to add, the cinematography was amazing. That was probably like the best thing from the movie.
Brilliant.
I could watch the movie without sound. Just
Fantastic.
Just the views. Okay,
that's a really good testament. That's a really good testament to those guys and the work, because they work so hard. They're a small unit. There's not many of them. There's maybe about 6 or 7 of the guys that work together, and they all work so harmoniously together that there's a really good synergy between them. And when you come on board as an actor, that you're working on something that, it's going to be push you as a creative, but at the same time, that you're going to get quality at the end of it. And Baz has been around for a long time, Baz Hancher, and he's a controversial guy. Like, he's really opinionated. I don't know if he'll ever come on a podcast, because he's one of these guys that he's scared to go on because he knows that his mouth is quite loose.
Say something.
And he's worried because he's quite a controversial character. But he's the nicest human being you could ever meet. He's so nice, and he's a very righteous person, and he's a complete piss taker as well. He's a character. He's a real character. Sorry for swearing. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
No problem at all. With 45. Well, let's talk about movies in general. So the guys you are working with now, where did everything start? Where you joined them, like a
Yeah, so it
relationship
was
start?
I've met them. I met them about two. I think it was about 2 years ago that I met Baz Hancher at White Raven. Yeah, so I met them at a horror festival in the UK called Horror on Sea. It's quite a big festival in the UK. It's called the Cannes of the indie horror world. Here in the
Okay.
UK, and it's a fantastic festival. And there's like a really good group of filmmakers that go there. And so I met Baz probably about 2.5 years ago, and we'd kind of spoke about films and, just, spoke about each other's films. And, we spoke about collaborations. And then, Baz found out that I was an actor, and he just kind of approached me at the festival to potentially come on board his film Axel Falcon. And it was really from then that it then sparked onto 45, to lead on to 45. So it's probably about 2.5 year process to get to now where we are for 45.
And for those, let's say some folks who are interested in filmmaking, acting, all that stuff, we know, like, for instance, indie movies, there's the awards, the circuit, basically. And I've seen a lot of guys enter, like, the Cannes Film Festival and many smaller awards. Where does the money come in? Like, how do the production, the film crew make their money back if it's
Yeah,
basically just awards and stuff? Is that
it's
monetary?
that's a very difficult question, because it's really hard as an indie filmmaker to actually make back any money that you spend on a film. Where people get films from, sometimes it's their own pocket. So the guys I know at White Raven, they fund the whole film themselves, and then what they do is they put together a physical media release, because they really believe in the old school of physical media. And I myself, I'm a physical media collector. I love kind of
Same.
everything from vinyl to Blu-ray, DVD, 4K. I'm all up for the physical release. So they do their own physical release, which then brings back the profit to then release into their next movie. So any film they make, they have a really, really good system where they put the money in themselves. They then have a physical release, and they pump out promotion to kind of sell those physical releases, and then they then move on to the next project. So they've got a really good ethos. And Baz isn't really somebody that really likes to kind of get involved in the trying to raise funds via private investors or anything like that, because
Crowdfunding.
sometimes crowdfunding, because sometimes people can then try and dictate to you how you're going to make your film. And he's a very kind of single-minded individual on how he wants to make the film, and he doesn't want people coming in going, well, because I've paid you this much money, I want to be in the film, or I want to do this. He wants to control the film, basically. So that's one way, and that's the way that they do it. There are other ways. I mean, I've gone down the route of private investment, so I've raised money for a film that I made called Rose. There was quite a lot of private investment that we raised for that, and shot that, and that went out and then did well across the festival circuit, and then it got distribution worldwide. But as an indie filmmaker, it was my first proper film that I had released. I learned very quickly not to trust distributors without properly reading contracts, so I got burned very, very badly on that film. It's one of those things that, when it comes to distribution and money with independent film, it's really, really difficult. It's a bit of a minefield. And to be fair, we could probably do a 3-hour podcast just on that, because it's such a massive minefield. And I've been around since the 90s. I've seen it all. I've seen private investment, equity investment. I've seen crowdfunding boom and explode, and I've used the crowdfunding myself, the crowdfunding route. And it is a fantastic way, because what you can do with a crowdfunding is you can actually reach film fans that want to some way support and be involved in film, help you fund your film to get made. So it is a really, really, really good tool. But there are some pitfalls to do with crowdfunding as well. Like anything, there are some pitfalls. But there's about 101 routes to go around to try and raise money. But trying to make your money back in the indie world where we are is very, very difficult.
Oh, that's true. And I'd say today's technology and all that stuff, it's probably become a bit easier. But if you don't know what you're doing, and especially like you say, there's so many pitfalls, I think the best way to go is like take the youngsters going to like the older guys and like get into the trade and get taught. And
Yeah.
my dad got me this job with this guy and like that kind of thing. So for someone young starting out, probably get like with someone who's been around the block, experience, learn from them. Even if you have to do like all the carrying around with stuff, like start at the bottom, because you learn a lot on the way to the top. You can't just start at the top.
Absolutely, and that's how I learned. When I realised that I wasn't going to concentrate 100% on the acting. The acting was going to be a sideline for me. I realised that I needed to learn my craft. So I actually went and shadowed a BBC cameraman for about 2.5 years, off and on. I'd work on different projects with him, and literally it was for free. I was carrying his bags. I was learning what kit was and how kit was used and what professional kit was there, how you treat the kit, how you don't treat the kit, where you place camera, how you approach talent on set. So I was learning. It was better than film school because I had on the job, by the hands of an experienced cameraman for he must have had about 30 years experience while I was working with him. And this guy just opened it up. I didn't get paid. I didn't get paid a penny. I just had to turn up and help him out. But to be honest, I would have paid him for that experience because the amount I learned off him was just incredible. It really was incredible. And he took so much time to teach me. So absolutely, my advice for any young filmmaker is get on set with people that are experienced, because what you're going to learn from them, and I'm not saying go and get used and do it forever for free, but you have to learn somewhere and you have to start somewhere. In the film industry, unless you are connected to someone who's quite high up in film, and there is a bit of that, there is a bit of nepotism in film. It is a bit of a gatekeeping industry, unfortunately. But, there are ways to get into film like I did, from the ground up. I just went and just pestered somebody until they gave me some internship. And I was lucky enough that this chap did, and that kind of changed my trajectory. That did. So, I would definitely, my advice would be go out there, meet people, network, and really put yourself out there and work hard, because that's the other thing about film. People see the glamorous side of it when they're at, red carpet events. But when you're actually on set, it can be boring, it can be mundane, it can be a lot of hard work.
Yes, I had a chat with an actor a few days ago who said 18-hour days, and most of it is just standing around waiting for things to happen, keeping an eye on the actors, make sure they don't disappear.
Yeah.
Know where they are at all times.
Yes.
Yeah, so thankfully for guys like us, people were there to teach us, and we feel now like we can do the same. We also teach. And I think the guys who just got there easily, like nepotism and all that stuff, then you'll quickly realize they're the ones who think you shouldn't give back. Like, for whatever reason, they're like, no, I'm not going to waste my time on you, kind of thing. And then you immediately know how they got there.
Yes,
Unfortunately.
Absolutely.
So,
but, every industry has this
yes.
kind of stuff. It's not just the film industry or the music industry or the writing industry. It's just a part of life, and it's one that you have to navigate. And as long as you're passionate but open, you go into the industry with open eyes, and that it's going to be hard work and nothing is just going to fall at your feet, and you're going to have to work for it. Then there is a fantastic film community out there.
I can just imagine the whole convention circuit and everyone just chatting movies, meeting each other, collaborating. I miss a lot of that stuff being way down here in South Africa, but there's some movie stuff happening in Cape Town, but it's a bit far from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try and work my way in there. Just chat with people. I just like chatting with creators, where they get the ideas and inspiration, and how did you grow your creativity. And I like storytelling, so it doesn't matter if it's a screenplay or acting out a character or writing a book, comic book, game, whatever. It's all, and if it's scary stuff, even better. Suspense, thriller, whatever.
Yeah.
So with YouTube and TikTok and all these things, with people, a lot of these creators are now actually taking courses in cinematography to learn about camera angles and shots and all that stuff, because they need to use it. For instance, I've got a few ideas of stuff I want to do for the House of Shadows and Ink, but it's kind of overwhelming because you think, oh, you just aim the camera, and it's not that easy. If you want to tell a story, build suspense, you've got angles, you've got any advice to someone who just wants to learn the basics? Is it just YouTube videos? Is there a recommended resource?
YouTube is an amazing resource. There are some fantastic YouTubers out there that, you know, I mean, essentially they are mostly content creators, but they really have a great understanding of film. You know, Wolf Crow, I think, is one that's quite a big one on YouTube. That he's a very good, an Indian chap, and he kind of dissects film and shows you why a shot is placed in this way, or why they use that particular lens size, or why it's lit in a certain way. So that's a very good resource. But there's about a million and one on YouTube. But my advice would be, if you can't get on set to speak to cinematographers or craft people, my advice would be to watch the classic films like The Godfather, films like, you know, Jaws, classic films like this. And I'm not just talking about American films, obviously European cinema too, you know, African cinema, every kind of cinema. But look at the classic films for a reason, because those films understand cinematic language. So really, if you look at the way that those films, you know, compositional wise, why at that particular moment that composition is so important for that particular moment in a scene, which tells a massive important, maybe a key factor into information in the film, or whether it's the emotional state of a character. Film, actually watching film and trying to that's what I did, is when I first started, I digested film and broke it down and thought to myself, why are they putting the shot here? A filmmaker for me when I was growing up, because I was massively into hip hop when I was young. Spike Lee was a really big filmmaker in the early 90s when I was growing up, and his film Do the Right Thing had a massive impact on me, huge. Even though I'm not black, I don't come from that kind of community, but the way in which he told his story and it captivated me as a youngster. It really captivated me because of the way that he used the camera to really get inside, you know, you as a viewer, but also at the community that he was trying to tell the story about. And so I looked at that film. I must have watched it about 150 times, and I dissected each shot and realised what is he trying to do and how is he doing it. So really watching the master's part, you know, previously is a really, really, really good way to learn. I mean, that's how Quentin Tarantino made his whole career, was by watching other filmmakers and literally digesting everything that they'd done and then making his own pastiche cinema. You know, so if Quentin Tarantino can do it, anybody can do it, because, you know, he was just a guy from a video shop that went and made a massive career and became one of the biggest filmmakers in the world. So really watching the classics and understanding, you know, the way in which the camera is used in film is massively important. As an actor, and also as a cinematographer, director, production designer, whatever that may be that you want to be, as a screenwriter, understanding the camera is really, really important. And not necessarily the mechanics of the camera, although that is important. It's understanding the reason why you place a shot where you place it and the meaning behind it. Because, you know, where you place a camera can completely change a scene. The kind of lens, the shot size, the lens that you use, the colour of the lighting, you know, everything, all of these factors change what it is that you're trying to tell. So it's understanding that, which is really...
For instance, with authors, with writing, the words can be the same, but if the tone of, like, that you're in that scene, and the tone is set in different ways, so it's the same as, like, the angle of the shot and the lens and stuff.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Absolutely.
So let's say from an actor's perspective, if you study actors, like, how do you recognize this is the actor versus this is the script or the directing? Like,
yeah,
that's a tricky one.
That's a tricky one, because firstly, a lot of actors start, you know, a lot of young actors that come out of acting school first, because they don't really have much screen acting experience. They don't know how to work the camera. For when it comes to screen acting, understanding the camera and the placement of the camera, where your eye line is meant to be, where you're delivering that particular bit of information or emotion, or, you know, whatever it may be, is massively important. I think Michael Caine had a fantastic tutorial video where he was instructing actors on how to stand and where to look for a camera, and just little things where it's something I say to actors all the time when I'm working with them, especially if they're quite new and they haven't really done much screen acting, is that where you place your eye on the other actor is really, really important. So rather than looking them square in the eyes, in the middle of the eyes, where we do normally when we have a conversation, that's wrong in screen acting. Where the camera is placed, so if I've placed the camera here and there's an actor here, your eye line should be here. so the audience can see into your
Mm.
eyes, see what you're delivering, the message that you're delivering. So seeing the great screen actors, people like Michael Caine, for example, people like an exceptional actor doing this is Richard Gere. I know it sounds really strange, but he's probably one of the greatest at understanding the camera when it comes to screen acting. He might, he might not be one up there in the top 10 of best all actors of all time, but he does stuff when you watch him. Whenever you watch one of his performances, you always go, "What's he thinking about? What?" So if you ever watch one of his performances, even if it's one of the weaker performances, let's say Pretty Woman, for example, every time he has a moment, as you look at him and you think, what is he thinking? He's thinking something while he's not talking. So there's this kind of interplay between him and the camera constantly, and the way that he moves for the camera is exceptionally, fantastic. Like, actors should watch him and understand how to move and look for camera, because he does it so well. And then you've got the great screen actors like Al Pacino and De Niro and Takeshi Kitano and all these fantastic, amazing actors that have got the emotional range and the physical range and all the rest of it. But also they know how to work camera as well. So understanding how to play to the camera but not play to the camera is really, really important as an actor. And that's what the best screen actors have got.
And you can't look directly into the camera either.
Oh,
So it's like,
well, unless you're breaking the
close.
fourth, which people do.
Yes.
But yes, you're absolutely right. That eye line is hugely important, hugely.
Oh.
But that's where a good actor knows that the cinematographer is really, really important for them. So they will have a really, really good relationship with the cinematographer. So they will know that if I have a good relationship with the cinematographer, I'll be able to communicate to get that best angle, to get that best performance. So the cinematographer, and the best cinematographers do this naturally anyway, they capture the right performance.
And I never even thought of it. I was always just like, deliver the line and body language, but not like playing with the camera and eye line, all that stuff as well.
Massively important.
Lots
Because
to
there's a
think
big
about.
difference there's a massive difference between stage acting and screen acting. And it's not just big and small. It's the difference. It's minutiae. It's the difference between intimate and, for an audience, on a stage, you've got to be big enough to capture the person right at the back. And they've got to be able to see all that emotion right at the back, which is a skill in itself. It's exceptional skill. But for screen, it's all about the subtlety, but at the same time, not being so subtle that it doesn't register. So it's a very fine line. And that's why when you see a great actor, and I don't mean charisma, because charisma is something different. Like, because some people had charisma. For example, Bruce Lee. I'm a huge martial arts fan, and Bruce Lee was one of my idols. Yeah, Bruce Lee was one of my idols. It is. And he wasn't necessarily the most gifted actor in the world, but that man had screen charisma. When the camera was on him, you looked and you would not look away. So some people just have screen charisma and they can capture the screen by just their pure energy. But screen acting and understanding, placement and camera and movement and, the subtlety in a performance, from a wrinkle in the eye to, like, there's an amazing scene in Goodfellas that I always go back to, because I used to teach a lot as well, teach acting to actors. And there's this scene in Goodfellas where De Niro is deciding whether he's going to take out one of the guys, the guy with I don't know if you've seen Goodfellas, I say.
Yes.
Yeah, the guy with a wig that's continuously annoying him. There's this scene where he's standing at the bar, he's having a cigarette, and he just looks at him, and he looks away and looks at him again. And there's a moment in his eye where you realise, okay, now he's going to kill him. He's going to kill him now. And it's just that level of, small detail, but such a pivotal bit of detail that only a real quality actor can deliver. And again, it's training, it's experience, and it's talent.
Nice.
De Niro has just got so much talent that, he can do it so easily. Pacino as well is another one that, he's just absolutely incredible at doing it. But it's working with the camera, it's working with the team that you have around you, and it's understanding your craft. And I tell actors all the time, because actors don't watch films. How many actors I meet, young actors, and they're like, I haven't seen many films. You watch films. You've got to watch films if you want to be in film. Watch from the greats, learn from the greats, and then take that forward for yourself.
Oh, that's so true. You get a lot of authors like that as well, like
Really?
who don't read. They actually like brag. Oh, I don't read. I don't have time to read.
That's interesting.
Good luck.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's something in the, that they don't want to pollute what they do, which I understand to a certain degree. But really, to understand the craft, you have to understand the whole craft. And maybe it's because I am quite obsessive with film. You know, for me, film is my life. It is literally my life. So I kind of dissect every part of it. You know, when I watch a film, I don't just watch a film. Watch the whole
Study
thing.
it,
I study
experience
it.
it.
Yeah, I experience exactly
Oh, that's
experience it.
nice.
Experience it is the best way to describe it for me. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So, for instance, now for me and other like YouTubers and podcasts and stuff, we want to bring in a bit of acting now and then as well, especially like deliver a planned joke or like a timing of something. Is there any other way of practicing acting other than like just diving in and doing it and messing up and trying again, or should we go and stand in front of a mirror, record
Yeah,
ourselves?
a mirror is good. I would recommend that, but actually, acting classes is one thing I would say. Working with other actors, and whatever level, they don't have to be really really qualified. Even Amjam actors, a lot of Amjam actors have got great talent as well. But going and doing an acting class with someone, a professional that actually is trained in screen acting, will give you tips much better than what I could as a fellow actor, because I've as an actor who's done various films over 20 odd years, I've picked up my own bad habits as an actor. So a good thing about an acting teacher is that they can kind of see those bad habits that you've got and bash them out of you. Because really, the
Okay,
other thing
good.
about acting is it's about doing something without actually doing it. And I know that sounds like a bit of a wishy-washy philosophy answer, but when you're screen acting, you've got to not be acting. And that's what it's about. It's about being as natural as possible, even if the thing that you're doing is very unnatural. You've got to come across as natural, and that's the thing about acting. So my tip to anyone, like if you, for example, yourself, you maybe want to get into it, is an acting class would be really, really pivotal. Because firstly, it will get you to take away barriers that we have. Because as human beings, we build up barriers to protect ourselves. And when there's a camera in front of you, those barriers go straight up, and it's hard to break those down. So you can tell someone who's a newbie and never acted before, because you can straight away see their barriers go up, the body stiffens up, they struggle a little bit, you can see their eyes glaze over and a little bit, because it's not an easy thing to bare your soul on camera. It's not easy. Practice makes perfect. So I keep doing it, make mistakes, learn. But an acting class, I would definitely recommend.
Cool.
So if you can hook up with a good acting teacher, even if it's an online one, you can, because the resources now are amazing.
True.
Yeah.
Well,
But an
basically, when you talk now about like barriers and freezing up and stuff, that was me like 2 years ago, just like on camera, like podcasts,
yeah,
interviews, whatever. Like I tried a few. I was stumbling over my words. I was sweating. I was like, I couldn't do it. And then eventually I realized, oh, I'm going to have to do this for the business, for the company, for my future plans. I'm
yeah.
just going to have to like exposure therapy. I did 65 one-on-one Zoom
Wow,
chats, camera on, and now I run mastermind groups with like 15, 20 people.
fantastic.
It's still not like easy, but I'm getting more relaxed. Like
Yeah,
this is probably like my fifth or sixth interview for the House of Shadows and Ink. And I still remember like the first one 2 months ago. I was like sitting like this, like not moving. And now I'm
yeah,
much more relaxed. So yes, I think I would do that just for like to break the barriers. And I'd recommend this to any creator, any author, because authors, we did a class recently about public speaking and like reading. And you're not just reading, you're acting out. You're like pulling in the reader. You don't want them to realize and like lose concentration and like they're part of they're in the story. Same with like acting. You believe you are that character. You don't want the viewer to know they're watching a movie. They're there. And I forgot to mention earlier on, I'm a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan. Like
brilliant. So
and not just like the movies, the episodes.
yeah, the average each hour. Yeah, yeah,
Yes, awesome. Yes, there was the Hitchcock Hour, Alfred Hitchcock Presents. There were quite a few of those. I've
yeah.
got box sets of all of them over here.
Brilliant,
Like awesome
brilliant.
stuff.
He's huge. I mean, if you love film, you have to be a Hitchcock fan. I don't. Yeah,
Mm.
Hitchcock fan. I mean, he he was the master at set piece. He was the master at suspense building as
Oh
well.
yes,
He genuinely. Oh God, yeah. I mean,
and
you know, just
even the actors in his movies. I mean, those people were amazing.
absolutely
I
incredible.
remember the guy from there was this one about a church. He was like the father in the church. Like that guy is acting blew me away. But I heard he got into like a motorcycle accident years later.
Really? Oh
I
wow.
can't remember. But yes, he was the priest. But anyway, yes, back to your movie. So 45.
45.
For people who are interested, when the movie comes out next year, like what can we do to support it or like spread the word? Where can we go?
Yeah, so White Raven Films have got their own website. So if you search White Raven Films, you'll see that. DB is going to have the information as well for where the film is going to be released. They are going to be doing a physical release, so they're going to be doing a Blu-ray release, which is going to have a making of. It's going to have an interview with myself and Andrew Elias, like one of my co-actors in the film, and that's like an hour-long discussion about acting and all this kind of stuff. And he's also got a little documentary about Antichrist on film, which they've kind of prepared for this release. They always do. When all of their releases have got these great extras on there. You know, I don't know if you're a collector yourself, but you know, I love it when it's packed full of
Bonus
extra
content.
You know, I love bonus content. Yeah, so
And
so they've
what's the one where you watch it and you've got the commentary of the
audio
director and the
commentary.
actor?
Yeah,
Yes.
the audio commentary. Yeah, I love that. Love that. So
Watch
yeah,
them
they've got loads of content on there. So they will be doing a physical release off their website where they're selling all their other films as well. So yeah, so on the website, on my kind of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, sorry, X, that's all good. I'm going to be publishing loads of links to buying the film. So if anyone does want to support the film, because the thing is, when you support directly like this by buying from White Raven Films, is that you're actually supporting artists, you're supporting independent filmmakers. That's going to put the money back into another film and continue to make films, which is really, really important. Because independent film, I don't know how it is in South Africa, but in the UK, and I think to a certain degree in America, independent film is the backbone of the whole film industry, especially in the UK. Like we have in the UK, most of the films that get produced have got American money attached. You know, they've got a lot of kind of bigger financing attached. Whereas most of the films that get made in the UK are independent films. So they're so important for the industry, for the film industry, because without support from, you know, from the public, from people that love film, from fans, those people would stop making films, and that would be a tragedy because it means the arts would suffer. Because, you know, we saw over COVID how, you know, I don't want to go back to COVID because, you know, thank God we're over it now. But, you know, during COVID, the arts took off and people needed the arts even more because the arts is something, you know, it's like a mirror to society. You know, we need the arts. It's so important. Not, you know, not that it's important, you know, it's not life-saving or anything like that, but it is important to us for our own mental health. So by supporting people like White Raven Films, by supporting independent filmmakers, essentially you're supporting an industry that's really, really important.
If you look at mental health issues that came out of COVID, I would say entertainment is life-saving for sure. And I've done some research on like even YouTube channels and everything, and it was not surprising, but interesting to see how all of those channels like picked up in 2020, like just became super famous, and people started relying more on entertainment online.
Absolutely.
But I mean, even supporting artists, supporting actors, getting to know the people behind some of our favorite projects, and that's what we want to do on this channel. Like, not just like the movie or the song or whatever, get to know the people working on it, like you guys now.
Thank you so much.
So that's all. Yes, I will put I'll get all the links and stuff from you as well. I'll put it all in the description. I'll send people your way. And then we can chat again when the movie comes out. And
that'd be amazing.
What comes after and all that
stuff.
stuff.
And I'll make sure Andrew gets on that one because he's a really cool guy as well. Like, he's such a cool guy. So you'll like him a lot. He's got a wealth of knowledge and experience, and he's been around for... He's probably been around a little bit longer than me because he's a little bit older than me. So he's been around for a long time, and he's worked on some pretty cool stuff as well. Like he's been in Star Wars, he's been in The Mummy and stuff like that. So he's done some cool stuff. Like, he's done some really cool stuff.
And
so
I think when young viewers watch this as well, some people are still figuring out. They know they're a creative soul, but they don't know how to express themselves. Even if you're a writer, there's so many things you can write. Like you can write screenplays, comic books. I mean, there are people who write games, how-to manuals. Like there's so many things. So when it comes to the the stories that you guys basically decide to make movies of? Like, where do you get your stories? Do you write your own screenplays? Do you open for submission sometimes? Or
Yeah,
novels turned into screenplays?
yeah. I mean, for me personally, when I develop my own projects, it has to. That's a really, really good question. Firstly, I work with writers. I always work with screenwriters. I like working with another creative to develop a
Mm.
story. So at the moment, I'm working with a fellow actor and writer at the moment where we're developing. I think we've probably got 3 or 4 feature film scripts ready to go that we're trying to
Nice.
raise money for. One film we're currently shooting called Echoes of Him. We're currently in production of that at the moment. And that, when my ideas tend to come from somewhere deep within. So my characters in my films are usually broken people, people that are suffering some type of trauma, some type of anxiety, some type of past affliction, something that they're running away from or trying to battle. So essentially what I do is when I create films is I start from the character first. Because a lot of people create the world. Like, for example, if we take Marvel, they create the Marvel world or the Marvel universe, and then they tell a story about that. Whereas what I do is I create characters first and then build a world around them that kind of suits the characters. And that's the way that I develop scripts. I have written scripts and I do like it, but I find script writing very, very difficult. I have such an amazing amount of respect for screenwriters and script writers and stage writers. What they do is exceptional, to be able to create something from absolutely nothing on a page and
True.
create this world. I'm so enamored by writers. I absolutely adore writers. For me, it's the most fundamentally important part of what I do, because without a good solid base of an idea and a script, I'm walking on eggshells at potentially any moment everything's going to fall apart. And I've been lucky. When I made my film Rose, I worked with Daphne du Maurier award-winning writer Stephen Lovelace, who wrote. He's an exceptional writer here in the UK. He wrote for TV and he's done amazing stuff. He wrote a book called Hibakusha, which was about the effects of the bomb in Hiroshima on a young girl. Exceptional writer. He's passed away, unfortunately. He passed away a few years ago. But I had such an amazing working relationship with Stephen. And, so I love writers. I love working with writers. And so what I like to do is work with a writer to develop that story. But usually what I do is I go in and go, right, these are the kind of characters I want to explore, or this is a particular character I want to explore. And I think this probably comes from my acting background, because I'm first and foremost, I started off as an actor. So I think what I do is, even when I'm directing or producing, I kind of come at it from an actor's brain. So I kind of drop a character to a writer and say, right, this is the character. Develop a story. Let's develop a story around that character. And that's how I tend to work. But obviously all writers are different. All filmmakers are different. I know Baz and Michael like to develop their own scripts. I think they have had scripts commissioned before, but I think they tend to write their own stuff. I know they wrote 45, which 45 was an exceptional script when I read it. Exceptional. Honestly, I can't say it enough that from an acting point of view, I knew that when I read it, I was like, wow, this is something I can really get my teeth into. And because it was never something that was, it wasn't, there's a phrase in the UK now. It wasn't teaching you to suck eggs or anything like that. It was just such a clever little mystery story where you're following this main character, and it's really the main character of Boyd Fallon, which is the character I played. He's almost like the guide for the audience, really. As an audience, you're following him through this story until you finally find out what happens to him at the end and a little bit more about the story at the end. So it was such a brilliantly written story with an audience in mind that I thought, I couldn't wait to play it. Baz and White Raven, they have their own way of working. I work with some incredible filmmakers that have got exceptional ways of writing. I work with a chap called Michael Fausti, and he develops these really great they're films of their own. I mean, you can't really describe Michael's films. They're such exceptional works of art almost, because he likes to kind of create these films that don't fit the norm. They don't fit one particular genre. They're very multi-genre led, and they're very, when you watch it, you're kind of, as an audience, excited going, oh my God, what's going to happen next? And it's such a fantastic way of telling stories, and he's got a great visual kind of sense as well. So I'm really lucky. I work with some amazing people, and and I want to keep branching out and working with more amazing people, because that's what it is as a creative like yourself. You notice that you want to keep meeting new people, and keep working with amazing people, because it's almost like our lifeblood, isn't it? Working with
Oh,
creators.
yes.
Yeah.
I've told many authors or many creatives, you have to hang out with other creators. You have to like
Yeah.
soak it in. You have to be part of the conversation, because it's kind of like if you try and do this alone, you slowly wilt away and die. Like the sad existence of the author, like from like 100 years ago, that stuff is done. Like, I mean, that's why I do so much online. It's because I don't really have that community actually. Yeah, I should probably try and start one. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what's next? You said there are some screenplay ideas.
So we've got myself and Alex Nathan Woods is we've kind of got this co-producing thing that we're doing at the moment, and we're loving it. We love working with the guy. He's an amazing actor and writer. So we've got Echoes of Him, which is kind of like a ghost story, neo-noir kind of film. So we're basically following a lead character who's on the hunt for this missing man, but then it gets really, really mysterious. I don't want to give anything away because we're in production. But yeah, it's a really, really it harks back to the old kind of detective stories, but with a female lead and a female lens. So it's a very interesting way to look at, because the detective story, on the whole, has been a very, very male-led kind of genre. And what we've done is we've kind of put this main female character in this kind of very male-dominated kind of mystery genre with a lot of kind of very typical male characters, but she's got a very female perspective, and it's a very, very interesting way that we're hoping anyway that it's interesting, that the audience kind of take from it, that it's slightly different from what else is out there. So there's that one film that we're shooting at the moment. I mean, I've been really busy this year. I've been really lucky. I'm working with two other exceptional filmmakers, Dan Brownlee, who's quite well known in the UK in the indie film world. He's done some great stuff, and I'm currently shooting a couple of bits with him. So a film called Group Chat, which is kind of like a found footage horror film online, kind of found footage horror, which is coming out. It actually premieres in the States, in a horror festival in the States. And then I'm working with another chap called Dean of the Dead. He's like, it's really cool. That's his kind of moniker, Dean of the Dead. And he makes hot sauces by trade. That's his trade. So he's known in the industry as a hot sauce guy, but he's also an exceptionally talented director. So we've just shot, I've shot one short with him, we've just shot another, and we're just prepping to shoot another film at the moment. So there's loads going on. I've shot another film for Michael Fausti, which I can't say anything about because it's all under wraps. I'll get beaten up if I tell him. But at the moment as well, the main one that I'm really, really excited for is 45. I'm really excited for 45 coming out to an audience.
I've been lucky enough to watch it, and I hope everyone else is going to watch it.
But you're actually the first.
Oh, awesome.
You are the first person outside of their crew to watch it. Yes. I haven't seen it. Andrew hasn't seen it.
Excellent. Okay, now that feels good. Yes, so we'll have all the information, and it's like stay in touch, keep us informed, new projects, new people on board. I mean, we like chatting with and featuring, like I said, all the creatives, whether it's the screenwriter or an actor or any person involved that somehow leaves their mark on a project, their creativity. I mean, everything just fuses together into this massive, like, magical end product that one person cannot do on their own. It just can't. AI can't do it on its own. Like, not going to happen.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Well, this was awesome. Thank you so much. I can't wait to chat with you again and like the other guys when the time comes. And you've got our support, and best of luck. Thanks for being on the show.
I really appreciate the support. Thank you so much.
Thanks.